Alrighty guys, so you see we got some Mopar action this time. Not very often we get a Mopar in here, especially an older one. I couldn't tell you the year of this bad beaut, but I know it's a Roadrunner. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about these things, but we are going to yank the engine out of her. The customer is restoring this actually, so they want to paint the firewall and all that jazz in the engine bay basically. So we're gonna take the engine out so they can clean her all up and do paint stuff that I definitely can't do. So I'll bring you guys along, and hopefully this will be a little fun video for you guys. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Alrighty guys, so let's get going on this project here. Basically give you a quick rundown of what's going on. We're just yanking the engine out of this, and it's going away till probably later on when they get all this painted inside here. So then we'll stick the engine in. But this episode's only going to be yanking the engine out and all that jazz, getting her as ready as I can for them to paint it. So I already got the coolant draining. It's has a petcock on the bottom that wasn't frozen, so that was kind of convenient. I already got this header off of here. This is a real royal treat, I'll tell you what. Because this bolt here, I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a bolt that goes in here, and even the header's dented in just to make it work at all. You had to wrench it. I mean, it was just slow wrenching, but it also had to be the very last bolt that you took out so you could work the header out with it so the bolt didn't jam up against the tube. Huge pain, but I got that all squared away. I got a couple of the bell housing bolts out just on this side because I'm kind of working on this side, get most of what I need done. Then we'll hop over to the other side and kind of get it done. So we'll just jump into a little time lapse here. Alrighty guys, so we're about to yank the engine out of this thing. It was kind of more of a time-lapse video than anything. I didn't really want to take too much time away from doing it to explain everything, but the headers are a pain. They kind of just got to sit down there. Absolute pain in the rump on both sides. But got all the plugs out, all the wires out. We're all really set to go. Really all you got to do is hook the chain to it and hoist it up out of there. So, but nothing really too extensive for repair. It's a fairly straightforward job. Bell housing bolts on this are pretty easy to get to. They're just right back there, and then there's two underneath of it. So then I got the motor mount bolts out. They're just right down there. Zip both them out. Torque converter bolts are out. Starter's out. Got all the stuff unhooked from the front. We're going to leave it as complete as we can, basically because we're just taking it out just to put it right back in. So let's get to it. guys, when you're yanking an engine, you just want to make sure your bell housing in your tranny bell housing and your engine is separating. We already got about a half-inch gap here. It seems to be coming apart actually kind of nicely. So no real issues there. This sucker will look. Give it a little pry. It's got to pop up off the engine mounts yet, so that's kind of why it won't come forward anymore. So we got the engine out. Project's over. No, not really. We kind of added some stuff to this, so this episode is going to continue on just a little bit longer. It's kind of hard to tell. I'll show you guys here in a second, but the K-member in this thing is like greasy and grimy and everything else. And the customer actually had one that he had painted for another project and got all cleaned up. So we're going to end up putting that K-member in this car. For the same reason, our car is basically getting restored, painted, looking all brand new, and we can't have a greasy K-member in here. So we're going to go ahead and swap that out in this episode real quick here. I say real quick, it'll be real quick for you guys. So let's get started. Alrighty then, so you guys just seen me ripping this driver's side apart. I already did the passenger side. I skipped out on filming that just to save a little bit of time. So I can get the hang of it to, put it on film basically. Learn all the little tricks, so this side didn't take me that long. Anyhow, we got I got this one, what's it called, K-frame bolt left. All the other three are out already. I just hung this by a piece of cord I had. It's 500-pound strength nylon cord, so it ain't going nowhere. And then the drum ended up coming off. For some reason, I thought this wasn't a slip-on drum. Otherwise, I would have taken the other side off, which you guys didn't see. But anyhow, so I'm about to lower down the K-member. Should come down pretty simply. The only thing I'm concerned with is this steering box. I ended up unbolting, so it's loose, but it won't come out because the steering shaft won't go up enough. So it's just kind of hanging out there until the K-member goes down, and then it's going to fall and go kaboom, but that's okay because we're putting a new steering box in anyhow. So it'll be a little easier to go together because we're also putting a different style joint in here, so it'll be all different there. so we won't really have this issue. But I'm just concerned about it falling and hitting something, so we're just going to watch our toes and everything, and hopefully this goes good. Down she goes, hopefully. Alrighty, there she is. That actually went pretty smooth. I'm not kind of surprised, actually. So, as you can see, I did leave these, I would call them control arm supports. I don't know exactly. But I left those on just because the bolts were a little bit of a pain to get to. So we're going to zip them off now. And I just got this one bolt here that was being a little bit of a bugger. So we'll zip that out. Other than that, this thing is pretty much stripped. So we'll go to swapping the new one in there. Alrighty, so here's our new specimen. You can see it's all painted up, all shiny like. Basically looks like new. So we're going to stuff this in there, get it bolted up in, hopefully put that steering box on and go from there. We got this new steering box here. Might as well install her now. Oh yeah. Alrighty guys, so I kind of jumped ahead a little bit here. I got a little excited, forgot to film stuff. You know how it goes. Anyhow, so we got most of the suspension back on. We had the control arms painted and whatnot. So what we're going to do now is, now that I'm basically remembering to film a little bit, we're going to put, I don't know what these are called. I am not 100% sure. I would call them like a front control arm. Maybe you guys in the comments can help me out. Like I said, I'm no Mopar nut. You know, but I know how to work on things. But this is like a support for the control arm. It goes from the K member and it braces the control arm so that the control arm can't walk back and forth basically. We got new bushings for the front of this. The original ones were kind of shot. I've already replaced these, as you can see. They're new. The old ones were kind of decrepit. I'm going to bring you guys in and we'll show you how to replace the other ones, since now that I've basically showed myself how to do it. And then we'll get to installing those. We got the sway bar to install, and then just the universal joint for that new steering box we installed. And then that's it, really. This car is ready to go back and get all painted up and everything. So let's get you guys in here. Okay, so here's the original bushings. They're not completely destroyed. In fact, we could probably reuse them. I'll show you the fact why I kind of suggested to the customer to replace them. One, because we're in there, but you can see they're complete. They are kind of hard. They're losing their you know, rubber integrity. But if you look at this bushing, you can kind of see that this part of it's, a big chunk of it's missing here. It's a little bit walled out, which isn't good. I don't think it's the end of the world. And you could also see, oh, there we go. It's sort of separated. So we kind of need this, from what I've learned from the last one. This little sleeve didn't come with new bushings, but we did get new bushings. So this is obviously separated. It's, you know, not any good. Would it go together and be all right? Yeah, but, you know, that doesn't seem to be the mantra for the car. We're kind of trying to make it, you know, basically a restoration here. So here we got a new set of bushings, and it's kind of strange. They kind of go together like a puzzle piece. So there's two different ones. You see they fit together. This one that's, I would call the male end, I guess, went on this side of it. I don't really know that it would matter. I mean, but anyhow, I just, you know, press this in to the end, and I mean, even if you didn't get it to the end, the when you tighten the bolt down, I'm sure it would squish it in there. But let's get ahead on this. Okay, and you can see I pressed it flush in there, stuff that on there, and this will go in here like this, but this obviously gets sandwiched between the K-member here, and then we got basically a big flat washer and a nut to tighten her all down, and that's pretty much it. So let's get these installed here and finish this job up. Alrighty guys, so we got all the suspension done. It's all bolted up as you guys just saw. Last thing we got to do is put this here universal joint in this spot here. This used to have just a typical old rag joint, like here it is here. It's just coupled in here, backwards actually. Anyhow, coupled in here and then that coupled to there. But it looks like this come with the kit for the power steering box. This is a Borgeson power steering kit that come with this thing. Also come with a pump we'll put on in the next episode. But anyhow, it came with this, and it basically tells you have to use it. And I think it's because if you look at this thing, you see the angle of this thing coming up, and this is coming up at a straight angle. The angle of this box is actually different. From what I could gather. So you kind of need a universal, and this is honestly a way better setup than a rag joint ever was. So no complaints there. But the thing does tell you, the directions in this kit were so vague, it's unbelievable. Basically no directions at all. But I do know you're going to have to cut this. I can't get this pin out, so I'm just going to cut it off. Ain't no big deal anyhow. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut through that anyways, because you got to cut some of this shaft off. So I've already just kind of loosely stuck this on here. Of course, I can't do it one-handed. There we go. And I mean, you do kind of have play, but I was kind of... They got this set screw here that you wind down for this thing. And it is inside there. I'm not sure how well you guys could see that or not, but I don't really know where they want that. Again, directions, very vague. I'm kind of thinking they want that in this groove here. That would be my thought. That's where I'm going to put it. That makes the most sense. You know, you wouldn't, because if you do put it the whole way back, it's not in that groove. So I think let's just loosely mock that up there, and we could eyeball how much we need to take off this shaft. Because you got to remember, you got to be able to slide it on there. I'm not sure which end we're going to be able to have to get in first. You know, this end or this end, but either way, I'm going to go ahead and eyeball that and mark this shaft, and we'll cut that pin off and maybe cut just a skosh off the end of the shaft and kind of see where we're at with this thing. Kind of play it by ear. So let's get started. Alrighty guys, from the measuring I just did, it kind of sized it up basically it seems to work out that I could just cut this pin the whole way off. So I'm literally going to use the pin as where I'm going to cut it off at. So I'm not even going to worry about shearing. I was originally going to shear the pin off and then make a cut, but there's no point. I'm just going to make a cut right behind this pin, directly behind it, cut the whole shaft off with the pin and everything, and we'll see where we're at, because it looks like I still may have to shave a little bit of this off, but we'll kind of play it by ear. But that's at least enough to start with, and it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Alrighty, so I actually ended up having to loosen the steering column up inside. There was just like 2 bolts down here and 3 inside, and it slid the column back just enough. I think I got enough room here, yeah, just barely, to put this on, because I slid this slip yoke part back into the steering gear as much as I could. So let's see if we can get this on here now, hopefully. Oh yeah, look at that. That's looking snazzy. Nice and snazzy like. Okay. Very good. Now all we got to do is, the kit also come with a drill bit and pins. You got to pin this in. I don't necessarily like that, because the pins don't even go the whole way through. But whatever. I may actually end up grinding this down just a little bit and putting like 2 or 3 small tack welds on here, just because. I don't know. They gave you the chintziest roll pins to put in this thing. I feel like with steering it should be something a little more solid than that. Not that I'm worried about it sliding off, as much as it could spin within that and you'll basically lose steering. Kind of like this. Like it would just do this number. You don't have steering if those pins were to shear. So I think I'm definitely going to put a couple tack welds in that, just for prosperity of my mind, so I can sleep at night. Right. Alrighty guys, so we got the suspension all bolted up here. As you can see, sway bar links on, sway bar, all that jazz. I'm not sure how much I filmed, can't even remember. Can't remember when I turned the camera on or not. Anyhow, just got to put the tires on this thing and it's ready to go get painted. So we'll throw these tires on, get it off the jack stands here, make sure all of our tools are out of it, and get everything squared away and get her loaded on the trailer. Alrighty guys, so here she is, finally back down on the ground after, you know, a little bit of time working on her. I don't have the torsion bars set where they need to be, I don't think. I'm not going to bother trying to adjust the ride height on this thing right now, basically because there's no engine in it or anything else, so we'll wait for the end. I got them cranked up to about where I think they were. Which kind of feels right, because the thing's pretty rigid right now if I bounce on it. Which makes sense because there's no engine in it, and the engine weighs a good bit, so they're probably pretty close. Hopefully you guys will stick around for the part 2 of this series when we go ahead and stick the engine back in and everything else. But for right now, that's it for this series. You guys, if you like this kind of content, please like the video, subscribe. You know, I have tons of content, no time to edit, But you'll see I post videos every now and again. So if you like the stuff, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys